All right, everyone, good morning. Welcome to today's press conference. We are here with head coach Frank Reich. We will take questions using the raise hand feature on Zoom, and we will answer those questions in the order that they come in. M. Barber, you're first.
Morning, Coach. I'm curious your initial thoughts on Virginia offensively, particularly their running game. Obviously, they put up some big numbers Saturday.
Yeah, I think most yards offensively in school history, if I got that correct. And so impressive, impressive, well-coached team. Um, going to be another challenge, right? Going on the road against a conference opponent that really has been impressive in their first three games this year, putting up a lot of points on offense, particularly, running it well, but obviously have a talented quarterback as well and a few talented receivers. So another good challenge for our defense.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Greg Mattia.
Yeah, hey, Frank. I was wondering, you guys are getting to the quarterback pretty well. I think 9 sacks through your first three games. What are you seeing there that's worked for your pass rush?
I mean, I just think it's been a good mix. I think we have really good depth, across our front. They push each other to get better. I think the guys have been playing well. I mean, obviously, Teva got banged up, but, Clay Patterson's been playing really well, getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Fredo's a force now with Frank back, Anthony Franklin back in the picture. Zach Rouse, pretty good. He's got explosive off the ball. So, I our linebackers when we're pressure, and I think Coach Thompson does a good job of, mixing up some pressures and some simulated pressures, and I just think it's been a good package, and I think the players have been really playing with great effort.
And on the flip side of that, Virginia hasn't allowed a sack this season. Anything you see with their offensive line? It's been a work in progress the last few years for them, but they seem maybe they've got some things together this year.
Well, no doubt, and like I said, they're a very well coached team. The staff has been together. Um, coordinator's been there. So, they're at level 2.0, 3.0 of their systems and what they're doing. I obviously, it's still early in the week for me as far as watching the tape, as far as their offense goes. I've glanced a little bit, but focusing a little bit more on their defense, as a play caller and offensive, kind of being on the offensive side of the ball. But, as we get to know them this week, we'll have to look for ways that we can match up against them. And certainly getting pressure on the quarterback is going to be an important part of every game plan, like it will be this week.
Thank you, Dylan.
Yeah, you guys came into this game as massive underdogs and got the win by double-digit points, played a good game. What did you learn most about the team during this game? And, what did you learn most about the team in the game on Saturday?
I felt an increased confidence, and that never wavered during the game. We came out, we started pretty strong in all three phases. We weren't able to, convert in the red zone. We had to kick field goals, but two early scoring drives, playing good on defense. And then in the second quarter, BC's offense kind of, had an epic second quarter with a lot of yards and a lot of points. And it felt like it was an opportunity for the game to get away from us. And our guys didn't waver, and we fought back. And, defense, we had a shutout in the second half, and defense played well. And I felt like offensively, we stayed pretty consistent through all four quarters. So that was a good sign.
Thank you, Dylan. Troy.
Yeah, Coach. To my eye, Yamauchi came in left guard, maybe late third quarter, played the rest of the way, it seemed there. Fisher Anderson got the start at center, and Emeka Ogorji got the start at right guard. Interior line, how did those three guys grade out?
They graded out well. Obviously the O-line as a whole graded out pretty well in the game. I think our best grade as an offensive line of the year. There's still a lot of improvement though that needs to be made. Pass protection still needs to get better. Obviously we did pretty well in the run game, but even there, we left some meat on the bone. But those guys did a good job. Fish, coming in and playing center, first started center, he really did a good job of communicating, and he's got good energy, good communication skills. Mooch, coming off, a high ankle sprain, he just came in and played really, really solid football. And then Mecca for his first, 17-year-old young man, playing guard for the first time, he handled it very well.
John?
Frank, a defensive shutout in the second half. I mean, the defense just continues, at least to my eyes, to impress, maybe relative to expectation, but certainly overall. Just what do you give us your snapshot at this point in time about how your defense is playing overall?
Yeah, I mean, our defense has really been rock solid. And in particular, in this last game, what we really needed, you talk about this every week, but we're going against that team that had a pretty explosive offense, like this team we're facing this week in Virginia. And but last week they were going to be a throw first offense. And so if the ball's going to go up in the air that many times, it just gives more opportunities for turnovers. And so probably even put more of an emphasis on turnovers than you always put a lot on, but just really strong emphasis on it. And it came up with 3 big turnovers, obviously the incredible goal line stand. And so really happy with how the defense is playing. We still need to be able to string together 4 quarters, though. At BYU, it was a great half. And then, here against BC, it was, I mean, they had 270 yards in the second quarter. That's too much. I mean, you just can't do that. So we just still got to learn how to string 4 quarters together.
Steve?
Yeah, Frank, how would you assess Ben's play? Certainly the numbers were better, and the numbers weren't huge. In a sense, is that kind of what you would like from Ben or whichever quarterback it is, to have those type of numbers balanced by a running game that clearly was effective?
Yeah, there's no doubt that that's a big part of our identity. Now, listen, I mean, being a former quarterback, we do want good balance. And I think we took a step there. And in particular, getting the big plays that we did, getting the big plays in the pass game. And I just thought I could feel it. I could feel it in his demeanor and the way he was handling things on the sideline, on the field, the way he managed the run game. We don't do too many checks, but we do enough that he's got to be clear and concise, and we got to have a good operation. Just thought he threw the ball consistent, and just more than anything, I could just feel a confidence, that emerged, and that we can build on, and that Ben can build on.
If I could follow up on that, did you get that sense in practice last week as well, or did you not necessarily get it until you get into the game?
No, he had a really good week of practice, and in fact, I communicated that to him several times. As the week went on, I could tell he had a good rhythm going. Thought he was throwing it well. Ben's got a strong arm. He can get the ball down the field. So, that's one thing we like with him in there. It really makes defenses, have to cover the whole field. He can put the ball everywhere on the field. So, and I just think he's going to continue to grow and be confident. And it's just, we just need to build on that as an offense and as a team.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Ben?
Yeah, when I asked Colin Wright about his pick 6, he mentioned that it was a play that you guys had scouted all week. So he knew what was coming. They seemed to kind of telegraph, and he jumped it. Just kind of talk about the job that you feel the defensive staff is doing in preparing for those kind of things. And obviously Colin being able to read that and take advantage of that as well.
Yeah. Their defensive staff, under Coach Thompson's leadership as the coordinator and play caller, really doing a great job. Obviously, Coach April, being co-coordinator, have a lot of input into things. The whole defensive staff is, they're doing a great job getting the guys ready. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the players making plays. So the staff has done a good job of getting them ready. But that play, like Colin, you can say you scouted it out and the defense and the coaches prepared them, and that's all true and that's all good. But the players still got to execute it. And, just watching on that play on tape several times, you could see how Colin, slow played it and he baited the quarterback, just enough to make the quarterback think there was a window there to get that ball in, and then just came back and made a great play. So that's really a credit to him. And I really think as a whole, the defensive players are, the whole team, but we're talking about your questions about defense, doing a good job, watching extra film, getting dialed in on tendencies, and so on and so forth.
Thank you, John.
Coach, where are you as far as the development of the wideouts? Sam was your leader in targets last week. Obviously, Bryce Farrell in his final year has expanded his route tree, or at least the nature of his receptions. Give us guys like CJ and Caden. Where is that game with Ben?
Yeah, it's an ongoing development process. We're very happy just very happy Bryce came back for his senior year, and he's doing a great job and, gaining more and more confidence. And as you said, catching the deep ball, catching the underneath stuff, making the tough catches on, a slant route and in tight coverage. And so, Bryce has been rock solid for us. And so we'll look to continue to develop the whole tree, right? He should be able to get anywhere and everywhere on the field. He's got excellent speed and doing a great job. So, and CJ too, as I've mentioned to you guys before, he's kind of the leader of the group. He and Bryce, in many ways, he's just rock solid. He's a great route runner and just understands the game at a very high level, understands spacing, has good technique, in his route running, and and has enough speed to get past you. So, love him. And Caden's probably, he's probably the shiftiest, quickest, most elusive, and has good speed as well. So, we need to find ways to continue to get all these guys involved. Sam, we think obviously is a really good player, as well as our other tight ends. I mean, Sam's always going to be featured a little bit. But we like spreading the ball around. Honestly, I've always kind of been that way wherever I've been. We don't, it's hard to, I just don't want to lock in on one guy. And I like being able to spread the ball around. I think we're doing a good job of that.
Ben?
You guys were able to still get a good amount of pressure on Lonergan, even without, Tafiti, who is arguably perhaps your best pass rusher, at least on the edge. Just kind of talk about what was the key to being able to still be effective in that area, even without your perhaps top pass rusher. Yeah.
Players playing hard and using good get off, right? Pass rush is it's about get off, getting off the line, getting off the ball, explosive, and then using technique. And when we got games and stunts and blitzes, we got to execute at a high level. You don't, just because you got a game called or a stunt called or a blitz call doesn't mean that you automatically have the right to, you still got to work that thing to perfection. And I think our guys are working at it really hard. And like I mentioned earlier, I think all the guys across the front have that ability to get home to the quarterback. And I think that's a really good thing for our defense.
Greg?
Yeah, Frank, I'm wondering, any memories of playing in Charlottesville? I know Virginia and Maryland were rivals. Anything pop in your mind of making a trip to Scott Stadium?
I do. Actually in 1984, and I mean, not that anybody wants to take time to check me on it, but if I'm remembering it correctly, and I was at Maryland, we went there to play for the ACC championship late in the year, and won the game, and won the ACC. So back many years ago, 1984.
And then just now that you've had 3 games as a college coach. Anything stand out to you? Anything surprise you about being in a college game so far?
I mean, I just having a blast. Just the atmosphere. When we've been on the road, been at 2 unique road places. You go to Hawaii, that's a unique experience. You go to BYU, that's an incredible away environment. And then getting our first home opener last week, and just feeling the energy from our guys and being home, and and the fans, and hopefully we'll continue to win and earn the right to fill that place up more and more. But just felt really good support from the people that were there, and we just want to continue to earn that right. And I love the atmosphere. I love being on the field with those guys and the coaches, and it's a special experience.
Thank you.
Thank you. Troy?
Yeah, Coach, the announcement just came in a few minutes ago. ACC Players of the Week. Micah Ford is the ACC running back of the week. Your reaction to that and what Micah has meant to the team so far this season?
Well deserved, number one, but also big credit to the O line and receivers, total team effort, and defense getting stops, getting the offense back on the field. But I've said several times that that running back room it's a great room in general. Coach Agnew does a good job with those, and Micah really emerged as kind of the lead guy, and and he just has a great knack. And he's a tough tackle now. He's tough to bring down. He's big and he's strong and he's fast, and he's been durable. So, real and he just has a 10 out of 10 attitude. So just love that. Love that. He is everything we're all about. A great team player. Um, well deserved. We're really happy for Micah and the success that he's having this year.
Thank you, Troy. John?
Frank, it's early in the week, but your initial impressions of the Virginia defense. I know they've got a lot of new DBs. I know they got a transfer guy from Ohio State. What do you see on tape from Virginia?
Yeah, I think they're really a good defense. I've spent a little bit more time there. Obviously, a bunch of new starters, not many returners. So, as far as teams we played this year, they have probably fewer returning starters than most, but really good against what they've been showing is, really stout against the run. Um, Up front, number 90, probably their best D lineman. They're all solid, but number 90 is a really good player, really stout against the run. And at the second level, both, the linebackers, number one, number 32. Number 32 is really athletic. He can run, he can move, and number one is really physical and good against, really plays the run stoutly. So, and then the secondary, they're going to mix up their coverages, but when they're playing their quarters coverages, their safeties are pretty aggressive and downhill, and so this is a good defense, and I think it's schematically going to be a different challenge for us, this week, and of course we always expect something, some little new wrinkle that you can't always prepare for, but excited for our guys and the week of preparation. We're just going to really got to dial in on our one-on-one matchups up front against these guys and do like we do everywhere. Try to find ways. We want to have a balanced attack. We'd like to continue to improve in the pass game and look for opportunities to put the ball all over the field. And obviously always want to have a good stout running game.
Ben?
You kind of mentioned Farrell, but just kind of going back to him, just talk about what has he done well to kind of capitalize on his final year of eligibility here.
Man, I mean, the guy just, he works really hard in practice. He works really, really hard in practice, and it means a lot to him, and you can feel that. He's really smart. He's a really smart guy. He understands football, and those things are all, like at the receiver position. I know he's fast and he can run, but man, when you really I know everybody understands, but like when you really understand football and when you really understand it from a receiver's perspective about what they're trying to do in coverage and techniques that they're playing you, I just think Bryce really dives into that kind of prep and does a good job.
Any other questions for Coach?